So now, in order to control an algae bloom in a lake, scientists introduced some treatment products. Once the treatment begins, the area covered by algae in square yards is given by the equation A equals 240 times 1/3 to the T. So on here, we have A equals 240 times 1/3 to the T. Remember, this 240 is our initial value. And here, this 1/3 is our growth factor. And here, because the growth factor is a fraction, this number is actually going to get smaller. So this represents decay, which makes sense because we're treating the algae and it's dying, so it's getting smaller. So the 240 tells us the initial value. So I'm going to write 240 is the initial value. And the 1/3 is the decay factor. So realistically, we start with 240 square yards, and every week, 1/3 of that dies. So to create a graph of this, down here, the independent variable would be T, so this would be the weeks. So if you notice, we only need to graph 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 weeks. So we have a lot of space here. Rather than putting that as 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to skip 2 spots. So leave 1. This would be week 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then what I'm going to do now is look at, well, what should our y value count by? So this, again, would be the area of algae. And for that area, we have some space to graph here. So I know it's going to start at 240 and then go down. So what we can do is see, well, what could I count by? So I'm going to look here. Can I count by 25? So 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200, 225, 250, 275. And that seems to make the most sense. So what I'm going to do here is this is 25, 50. I'm just going to fill in every second one. This would be 75, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200, 225, 250, 275, 300. So on here, this 240 would be about right here. And what I'm going to do is create a table. So T is the number of weeks. And we go with 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this would be the algae. Now remember, we know that if I plug in 0 here, I'm going to have to start with 240. And what I can do on a calculator is just put in my expression 240 times, I'm going to go in parentheses, 1/3, and then go to the first power. And we have 80 yards, square yards of algae. So week 1, I'm down to 80. So that's just a little bit above 75. So I'm going to put that right there. Then I'm going to go back and hit second entry. Go back. Here's the 2-week value. And we're at 26 2/3. So I'm going to put 26 and put round that 0.67. Really on a graph, that's going to be hard to graph. So it's going to be a little bit above 25. And then for 3, I'm going to go second entry, go back here, put in 3. And it's going to be about 8.87 if I round. which again is going to be about right here. And then I'm going to put in the entry again, put in the 4, and that's about 2.96, which would be about right there. So as I graph that, that's going to go down like this. So about how many square yards after 2.5? Explain my reasoning. So after 2.5 weeks, what I would do is go 240 times 1/3 to the 2.5. So there, I can put that in, hit second entry, put in 2.5, and I get 15.3, and I would round that to not 39, but looks like 15.40. And then again, I need my units here. So here, as you remember, we're measuring that in square yards. So you could write out square yards, or the symbol for that would just be yards, and then put to the second power.